So what's going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another Zombies Q&A on the channel, this series where I take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like rating if you want to, make sure you are subscribed, but let's get into it. Here we go, enjoy. So the first question of today says, hey BOA, who is the guy that we can hear at the end of Die Rise when you die? So if you don't know what he's on about, this is what the game ending audio for that map sounds like. As you can hear, at the beginning we have somebody laughing, and then towards the end we hear some footsteps, growling, and what sounds like a prison cell door being opened and slammed shut. Now at the time when this was new to us, Die Rise was DLC 1, Mob of the Dead was DLC 2, of course we now know it was a hint, a reference to the next DLC map. This was our clue towards Mob of the Dead. You can hear Brutus and the prison doors, but just before this, as you say in your question, or at least I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, we can hear somebody laughing. Now this isn't the only map we hear this in, it is also in others as well, but who is it? Well, we know during the time of Black Ops 2 it was Richtofen who was in control of the zombies. Personally for me the voice is a little bit high, but we have heard him laugh and scream, cry before. In some instances you could say this sounds similar to him, but then again you could also say possibly this is Samantha when she laughs. Other than those two characters, I can't really see it being anyone else that we know. Maybe this is someone that we don't know, but if I had to pick a name I would say it was Richtofen. If not, then it just could be some random scream of a zombie or someone. Honestly, I'm not too sure. The second question of the day says, hey BOA, will the Victis characters be in Call of the Dead? So if you did or didn't know, there's been quite a few leaks that DLC 4 is going to be Call of the Dead. Now, how exactly everyone feels about this, I'm not too sure, because so far in Black Ops 4, if this is true, that will mean every ether map in this game is in fact a remake, just with extras added on. We had Blood of the Dead, which was Mob, Classified, which was 5, Alpha Omega, which was Nuketown, and if Call of the Dead does return, I presume it's going to have a different name, but that will mean every ether map will be a remake. Honestly, even though I thought it was an okay map, it was never my favourite, never in my top 10, probably not even in my top 15 or 20, plus just having all remakes, yeah. But let's just say, even though it's not confirmed, for whatever reason, DLC 4 is Call of the Dead. As you were saying in your question, will we see the Victis crew? I'm pretty sure we are going to be playing as the Primis and Ultimus characters again, as we've been told in the Alpha Omega ending cutscene. They are first going to go to the Great War, I predict, to stop Element 115 from ever coming into contact with humans, and then they're going to travel to Argotha to kill Dr. Monty. So we've been told that we are going to 2 locations, but obviously we can only go to one, unless maybe we are allowed to teleport to the house, and that is where the battle against Monty is going to be. But as I've said in a previous video, if you think about it, doing a map as the Great War, I'm not too sure how it would work, because one, essentially, that's a remake of Origins, or at least the location is going to be very similar, even though it was hundreds of years earlier, and 2, during the Great War, there was no zombies. It was only the Apothecans, the Keepers, Monty, and the Shadow Man. Oh, and also Primis. There was no zombies during the original Great War, so possibly it could not work, which does make me think there is a high chance that it could be Call of the Dead. Now, whatever reason they have going there, we're not too sure. We've predicted it could be to do with the Golden Rod, since that's where it was originally located. We do know it was a previous Group 935 facility. There could be many other reasons, but getting back to your question, will the Tranzit characters be there? Well, I've been thinking about this, because when we last saw them, it was in Blood of the Dead, locked in the cryogenic chambers. Yes, you could say the map after that, Alpha Omega. We heard Malton speaking in the bunker, and we also heard radios transmissions from Russman. But of course that situation was before they ended up in the cryogenic chambers in Alcatraz. And so the last time we did actually really see them was Blood of the Dead, and the very last thing we heard from them was in a radio from Stuhling that we can find in Classified, where he says this.
Is this thing on? Richtofen! Hey, Richtofen! You've been gone from my head a really long time. I gotta be honest, I'm freaking out a bit, man. It's so quiet. I can actually hear myself think. Do you know what that's like? It's not nice at all. So, listen, buddy, old pal, we gotta talk. You sent us here, of all places, but you forgot to tell us what to do. It's dark, it's damp, it's just really filthy. I think the roaches are crawling with roaches. How is that even possible? Wait, shoot. Am I even talking to the right Richtofen? Oh, you could be the other one, right? Or the other one. Yeah, you know what? Just go talk to your Richtofen pals at the hoity-toity Ricky Gang Clubhouse and find out what the we're supposed to be doing!
So as we can hear, he is attempting to make contact with Richtofen. This is after Blood of the Dead, which shows us that Samuel survived. We know the pocket dimension that Alcatraz was in was closed off when Richtofen sacrificed himself, which means that everything within it, including the transit crew, would have eventually vanished. But since Samuel is calling Richtofen, he clearly survived. Even though we can hear him, I would have to think Misty Malton and Rustman survived as well. But we have Samuel calling Richtofen, trying to make contact to him because he hasn't heard from him for a long time. He says, "Listen here, buddy old pal, we gotta talk. You sent us here of all places, but you forgot to tell us what to do. It's dark, it's damp, it's just really filthy." And then he says, "Wait, am I even talking to the right Richtofen?" Of course we know he isn't, because he's calling the Ultimus one in Classified, the one that he was talking to in Blood of the Dead, sacrificed himself, and the one he was talking to previously disappeared through a rift in the Blood of the Dead intro, and I believe he is now the one we are playing as in Alpha Omega. But he says that after Blood of the Dead, Richtofen sent him somewhere. He says he doesn't know where it is or what he's been sent here to do, but this place that he's in is dark, damp and filthy, which makes me wonder, could Stuhlinger be describing somewhere in Call of the Dead? Could the transit crew have been teleported to somewhere in Siberia if he's describing it as dark, damp and filthy? We know Call of the Dead is cold, it's bound to be damp, since it's a Group 935 facility that's been abandoned for a long time. Possibly Siberia is where the transit crew are. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the Primis and Ultimus crew are gonna come here. If we go back to the original Call of the Dead, all throughout that Easter egg, the Ultimus characters were trapped behind a metal door, and so they asked the Call of the Dead crew to help them out and collect the golden rod for them. And could it be this time the transit crew are trapped behind that same door? But then again, it really could be anywhere. And also, in Blood of the Dead, as part of that Easter egg, Richtofen and Stuhlinger could communicate to each other, but the only reason this could happen was through the Lighthouse.
12,042 bottles of beer on the wall. 12,042 bottles of beer. You take one down, you pass it around. 12,041 bottles of beer on the wall. Oh!
Samuel?
Who in the fudge? Dr. Richtofen? Is that you?
This is an Element 115-based illusion. You are in cryostasis back in the lab. How could you... The Lighthouse. It must have triggered a chain reaction in the ether.
It is you! Whoa, hold the phone! Do you mean to tell me I'm a voice inside your head now? Oh, ain't that a kick in the dick?
So we can see Richtofen says he can communicate to Samuel in this map because the Lighthouse triggered a chain reaction through the ether. And what other thing is a big part of Call of the Dead? That map also has a lighthouse as well. Possibly Richtofen is going to be able to communicate to Samuel once again using the lighthouse in Call of the Dead. We don't know, there could be many reasons why the characters have been sent there by Richtofen. They're definitely going to help out in some way, maybe to purge 115 or defeat Monty. And what's going to happen to them when this all comes to an end? Well, we know that once Argotha is destroyed and Dr. Monty is defeated, the universe will reset, or at least that's what Dr. Maxis believes, which should mean to me at least that everything inside, including our characters, Victis, Ultimus and Primis, will reset as well. But we know the original plan for the transit characters was for Richtofen to wait for a perfect, safe world for them to live in, where he could place them. That was the main reason why they were put on ice in the first place, so Richtofen could awaken them when there was a safe place for them to go. But since the Canorium changed, we can see at the end of Blood of the Dead, Richtofen says to Samuel this.
Samuel, if we succeed, you will be safe. Please, trust me. und keep quiet.
Wait, what? You can't mean...
Goodbye, Samuel.
Richtofen? You know, I don't fully understand what you guys did to that mechanism thing, but the ghost crowd is going bonkers!
As well they should, Samuel. Thank you for informing me. You have no idea how refreshing it is to be appreciated.
Oh, yeah, totally. You got it, buddy. Congrats! Yeah, man, they are really losing it, man. That is great. Hey, listen, before you guys go, could we maybe talk about a defrost? Hello?
So just before he sacrifices himself, he says, Samuel, if we succeed, you will be safe. Please trust me. Richtofen then goes to sacrifice himself, and that is the last time Samuel hears from him. But of course, we can hear Samuel in the classified telephone calls, so obviously he survives. He must have escaped Alcatraz somehow. The Richtofen that sacrificed himself would have known exactly what's going to happen to Samuel, since he read the Canorium. That would have told him what the transit crew's future was going to be, so Richtofen knew. He knew that he'd be safe, but because we haven't read the Canorium, we don't know the outcome. I guess we'll just have to truly wait just a couple of weeks now until we find out. So anyway guys, there we go, that is it. That is all for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating if you want to. If not, it's totally fine. Thank you guys for watching anyway. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, goodbye.